to learn, going to learn how can we transfer journal information into the ledger. Okay, so in our last class we most probably talk about the recording the journal into the recording transaction into the journal. Okay, and the class before our last class, okay, we talked about the different debit credit rules and the application of the debit credit rules. Okay, then we talk about the recording it in our last class. Okay, today we're going to learn how can we transfer journal information into the ledger. Okay, so for that purpose, what you have to do, we have to make a table like this. We have to make a table like this, and we have to write at the top of the table the name of that account. So let's say in that journal account, let me start from the very beginning. Let me start from the very beginning. Maybe it will help you. Okay, let me start from the very beginning. Let me start from the very beginning for the transaction. Okay, from the transaction. Okay, so what you see that that is the transaction number 1. And in the transaction, we can see that how many accounts are actually change name of the account for the transaction. It is a transaction. The 2 account is change here. One is cash account. Okay. And other one is the capital account, right? Cash account and
Yes, sir.
capital account, right? So whenever you know that how many accounts are actually changed for the transaction, the second thing you have to do in the software, you have to make the account like this. Okay, you have to make a cash account and you have to make a capital account. You have to make a cash account and you have to make a capital account. We have to make a cash account and we have to make a capital account whenever you get the 2 accounts are basically they affected for that transaction. Okay, the account look like this. Okay, what you have to do, maybe I miss. Okay, maybe we have to. Okay, this one. Okay, the first one here you have to mention the date. Okay, you have to mention the date. The second one is the explanation, and the third one is reference. Then it is for debit column, it is for credit, and then it is for balance. The same thing for the capital account, the date, explanation, reference, debit, credit, and the balance. Okay, so now what you see,
স্যার ফার্স্টেরটা হচ্ছে ক্যাশ অ্যাকাউন্ট আর সেকেন্ডটা ক্যাপিটাল অ্যাকাউন্ট।
right? Okay, so now you know the debit credit rules. Now you also know the analyze the transaction in the accounting equation, right? We know that increase of asset and the increase of owner's equity. Okay, so cash increase for $14,000 for $14,000, and the capital, okay, capital increase for $14,000. Okay, and the debit credit rules, as cash increase we have to debit it, cash increase, and the capital increase we have to credit it, right? Now we can apply the debit credit rules to record these things in the journal. Let's say it is first day of the month of 2021 of the month of July, and the cash is debit. The amount is $14,000 in the debit column, and capital is credit, and in the credit column it is for $14,000, right? And you also know the reference number. How can we get this reference number? When you develop this cash account, you mention a number. Okay, you mention a number here, which is, let's consider the number is like this. Let's consider the number is 101, and the capital account number is like say 301. Okay, so you mentioned it in the reference number when you debit cash in the journal, like 101, and the crediting the capital account 301. Is that clear, sir? Yes or no, sir?
Yes, sir.
স্যার
স্যার
রেফারেন্স নাম্বারটা কি
রেফারেন্সটা
ছকের উপরে লিখতে হয়?
ইয়েস স্যার রেফারেন্স কলামটা সেখানে লাগবে নাকি?
আবার বলেন, আরেকবার বলেন। রেফারেন্স নিয়ে একজন প্রশ্ন করেছিলেন।
স্যার রেফারেন্স নাম্বারটা কি ছকের উপর লিখতে হয়?
কোন ছক?
So যে ক্যাশ এন্ড ক্যাপিটালের
ক্যাশ
ওইখানে
অ্যাকাউন্ট
you wrote the
ক্যাপিটাল
bracket.
অ্যাকাউন্টের পাশে যে লিখেছেন,
এটার কথা বলছেন? এটার কথা বলছেন
স্যার
আপনারা?
লেজারের
right side.
পাশে যে
গ্রিন
লিখেছেন।
গ্রিন টেক্সট
এটা
স্যার লেজার
স্যার আপনার রাইট হ্যান্ড সাইডেরটা ক্যাশ
স্যার ক্যাপিটাল অ্যাকাউন্টের পাশে লিখেছেন যে সেটা।
হ্যাঁ, এই যে এটার কথা বলছেন।
ইয়েস স্যার এটার কথা বলছি।
জি স্যার, এটা কি এখানে লিখতে হবে নাকি নিচে যে রেফারেন্সের একটা বক্স আছে সেইখানে লিখতে হয়?
এটা আমি যেখানে লিখেছি এটা ঠিক আছে, এবং আমি জানি এখানে রেফারেন্স কলামে আরেকটু অন্য একটা ইনফরমেশন আছে, সেইটা আমি লিখবো। হ্যাঁ, এই জন্য রেফারেন্স কলামটা এখন পর্যন্ত ব্ল্যাঙ্ক আছে। ওকে,
স্যার আমরা তো এটা জাস্ট ধরে নিছি যে এটা 301 নম্বর রেফারেন্স, এটা 101, মানে আমরা ঠিক করে লিখবো না।
জি, আমরা এটা জানি যে ওনার সিকিউরিটি অ্যাকাউন্টের অ্যাকাউন্টগুলোর রেঞ্জ স্টার্ট ফ্রম 300, and asseter অ্যাকাউন্টের রেঞ্জ will start from 100 to 199. So our first liquid form of account is cash. That's why it is 101. Okay, from 100 to 199. That is the range of identifying all the asset items. Is that clear, sir? Yes or no?
ইয়েস স্যার।
Okay. Now let's talk about the journal. Okay. So whenever you record the journal, it is basically like this. Journal, that is J1. Okay, it is journal 1 or journal page number 1. Okay, so whenever you're recording the journal, maybe you are keep updating the information in the journal. Okay, so J1 stand for the general journal. Okay, now when you transfer this information into the ledger, in the reference column you have to write it J1. That means I get this information from the general journal 1, and I get this information from the general journal 1. Is that clear, sir? Yes or no?
Yes
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
So in the ledger reference column, we have to report it the reference number of the journal, and in the journal reference column, we have to report it in the reference number of the ledger, identification number of the ledger. Is that clear now?
Sir, can you repeat again, please? The last
Okay.
line.
So now let's talk about the transferring journal information into the ledger. What you see in the general journal, we debit cash account, right? We debited cash account. We debited cash account. So what you have to do, we have to go to the cash account, that is the cash account, and we have to write the date in which the transaction is actually occurred. That is the date 1/7/21. So that is the date in which the transaction is actually occurred, and on that transaction in the general journal we debited cash for $14,000. So what you have to do, we have to go to the debit column of the cash account and we have to write $14,000. Okay, so that is the completion of transferring 50% of journal information to the ledger. The first transferring cash related information into the ledger. Then you have to go to the capital account, and you have to go to the capital account and you also have to write the date in which the journal is actually occurred. It is 1/7/21. And in the capital account, what you have done in the general journal, you credited for $14,000. What you have to do, you have to go to the credit account, and in the credit column, you have to write $14,000. And in the reference column, what you have to do, you have to write it in this information we get from the general journal 1, and this information we also get from the general journal 1. I think now you know how to transfer the information from the general ledger, general journal to the general ledger. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now, let me tell you something about the. Okay. So that is the transaction 1. Now, if you would like to know what is the cash balance on the first transaction, after the first transaction, you can easily tell me the debit of cash is basically the increase. Let's say the green of cash, it is basically the increase. Okay, and the red is basically the decrease of cash. Okay, red is basically the decrease of cash. What you see, you can see that in the credit column for the first date there is no such amount. So that means we did not spend, or we do not have to spend any money, and we have $14,000 cash. So our cash balance is still $14,000 after the first transaction. The same thing for the capital. So we know that whenever you are crediting capital, it is you are saying that your capital is increasing. And when you are debiting capital, you are saying that your capital is decreasing according to the debit credit rules. So you see that for the after the first transaction, your credit capital is $14,000. So that means your balance of capital is still $14,000. Until we debit capital, our capital balance should be $14,000. Okay, so this is how you can get the remaining balance after each and every transaction. Is that clear, sir? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Now,
Yes, sir.
now let's talk about the second transaction. Okay, let's remove some things. So what you see that for the transaction, we know that we purchase a truck. The truck is an asset, and we paid $3,000 in cash, and there is a liability. Okay, liability. So for the transaction, how many accounts we have? We have basically the 3 accounts. One is truck, the second one is cash, and the third one is accounts payable. Okay, so now what you see, you can also see that out of the 3 transactions, we have already created the cash account, right? As you already created the cash account, we don't have to create the cash account again. So what you have to do, we have to create a account for truck and account for accounts payable. Let's copy this one. Okay, let's copy this one. Okay. Now let's make it here. Okay. So now what do you have? We have our cash account. It is not working. Okay, let me let me open this software. Open this one again. Okay. So can you see the screen, sir?
No, sir. Oh, yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now I think now we can delete these things. Okay. Yes. Okay. It should be debited. It should be credit. Okay. Let me copy this one again. Wait here. Okay. Now what you see, we have cash account. We have cash account here. Okay. Now what you see, now we have three accounts. One is cash, second one is track, and third one is accounts payable. Okay. So now, first one we have track or vehicle, whatever you say, and then accounts payable. Okay, accounts payable. So now what you have to do, we have to transfer this journal information into the ledger. We have to transfer this journal information to the ledger. The first one is track, second one is cash, and third one is, let's say, the accounts payable. So first what you have to do, we have to transfer this information, track account. So go to the track account, and which date? That is 2nd July of 2021. Your track account is debited by $10,000. So go to the track account and the debit column, increase for $10,000. And this is information from the general journal 1. Same thing in general journal 1. Okay. So after the transaction, your remaining balance is still $10,000 until you credited the track account. Now the transferring of track related information from the general journal to the ledger is completed. This is done. Okay. And one more thing, I have to mention the reference number here as well, 120. And the reference number for accounts payable is, let's say, that 201. Now go to the cash. So what do you see? So you have credited cash. What is the amount? For $3,000. So now go to the cash account, mention the date. Your date is 2nd July of 2021, the general journal 1, and you credited $3,000 cash. You credited $3,000 cash. Okay. So now what do you see? You see that when you credited $3,000, your available balance is now not 14,000 anymore. It is 11,000. Because out of this $14,000, you have spent $3,000 for purchasing the truck. That's why your remaining balance is $11,000. Okay. Now, for the accounts payable, this is also completed. Now, for the accounts payable, this is also for completed. Accounts payable, please mention the date is 2nd July of 2021. The reference is from the general journal. And for the accounts payable, you have credited $7,000. So in the credit column of accounts payable, mention $7,000. And your balance is still $7,000 until you debited the accounts payable. So now I think you know how to use the same account for transferring journal information into the ledger. Is that clear, sir? Yes or no?
Yes,
Sir, I have a
Just
question, sir.
Yes, what is your question?
Sir, for 1st July, the journal we had was J1. So for the 2nd July, doesn't the journal should be J2?
Day 2 means, for example, okay, skip that part. For example, this transaction is happening on the same date, on the 1st July of 2021. So in that case, you have to mention the 1st July, right? Instead of date, right?
Okay.
Right? That's the things. So you are recording the transaction information for the each and every, right, for each and every journal information to the ledger. So now I think now you can understand how to transfer journal information to the ledger. Okay. Now let's go back to our chapter. Okay, so chapter number 2. Okay, so chapter number 2, page number 75. Chapter number 2, page number 75. Can you see that, sir? I asked
Yes,
you to
sir.
I asked you to solve this problem, the practice problem, chapter number 2, page number 75, right? What do you see? You see that. So you have the number of transactions. Okay, you have the number of transaction, and you have report, or you have record this transaction into the journal. Okay, so that is the journal, right? That is the instruction number A, right? Instruction number A. Okay, report everything in the journal. Now the instruction number 2 is open the ledger account and post the journal information into the ledger. Okay, so now you have to make a general ledger for each and every account that is actually affected for those transactions, and you have to make those table for each and every account, and you have to transfer the journal information into the ledger. Okay, let's do these things. What you see, I have already okay. Let's make it clear first. Let's make it clear, so it will help us to understand. So I think you can understand what I'm just done here. I just crop the general journal and the general ledger from these 2 pages, right? I just crop this information, right? General journal, this one, and the general ledger, this one. Okay, in a separate page for our understanding purpose, for our research purpose. Okay, now let's find this information first. When you have this kind of journal, the first thing we have to identify the how many accounts we need to create, right? The first of all, let's try to find out cash. Then the cash is the second one is owner's capital, so that is the 2. Third one is rent expense. Sorry, it should be rent expense. That should be 3. And we have counted the cash ones. So we have counted the cash ones, so we don't create the cash account again. Now the equipment. Now for the equipment, we have to create the equipment account. We have counted the cash ones, so we don't have to create cash accounts again. Let's consider the notes payable. So account number 5. Let's consider the prepaid insurance. that is account number. Okay, we have considered the cash once, we don't need to create it again. Now let's consider advertising expense, that is for 7. Let's consider accounts payable. Let's consider the accounts payable. Let's consider the accounts payable. Let's consider the accounts payable, which is for number 8. Okay, now let's consider the owner's drawing, okay, which is number 9. Okay, number 9. And let's consider this one. Let's consider this one, service revenue. Okay, service revenue is not difficult, very easy to read. Okay, what color we have? Okay, let's consider the service revenue. Oh, it is not easy. Oh, let's make it separate. Service revenue is blank. The service revenue is 10. So what you see that we have to make this 10 separate account. Is it okay, sir? Yes or no? So this is the way we can identify the how many accounts we have to create from the general ledger. Even though before transferring the journal information to the ledger, we have to create the account in the software when you're actually working for the company. Okay, so there is a software. Okay, so in the accounting software, first you have to create the account, then you have to you have to transfer the journal information, you have to record the journal. Okay, first we have to create the account in the accounting software, then you have to use this account to record the journal. Okay, but as we are not using the software here, what you have to do, we have to do some we have to find out the number of account we have to create, using our own method like this one. Okay, so now what you see that we have created our account. How many account we have created, sir? I think you can see that we have created the separate account, right? We have created this account. So one is for the cash account, receivable or something like this. Yes or no? So can you see that, sir?
Yes, sir.
So cash account, you can also see that the account number is also there. For every time you are debiting or crediting cash, you are using the same number. Okay, cash. Okay, every time you are debiting or crediting cash, you are using the same number, right? So every time you are using the like this one, for example, prepaid insurance. So you see that. So prepaid insurance here is here. So you are using this account number 103. Okay, sir? Yes or no? The same thing for the equipment. Same thing for the equipment. Okay. Now let's try to help you. Let's transfer the journal information from ledger to journal information from general journal to the ledger. Okay. So what do you see? So let's consider the first one, that is cash. That is cash. So what do you see? You see that that is our general journal number 1. That is our general journal number 1. You can see that every time we are transferring information from general journal to the ledger, we are reporting in the reference column of the cash account, right? So we are reporting it. Now, on the first day of the transaction, you can see that on the first day of the transaction, on September 1st, we have mentioned it. In the first day of the September, what you have done, we have debited $20,000. We have debited $20,000, and the debit column of the cash account, we debit it for $20,000. Is that clear, sir? We debit it.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
We debit it for $20,000. We debit it for $20,000, and you can see that as for after the first transaction, there is no credit of cash, so our balance is also $20,000. Is that clear, sir?
Sir,
Yes, sir.
Yes, what is your question, sir?
স্যার ক্যাশ অ্যাকাউন্টে যে ওনার্স ক্যাপিটালের জন্য ডেবিট হয়েছে মানে ওনার্স ক্যাপিটাল নামটা লেখা লাগবে না সেপ্টেম্বর 1-এ? হ্যালো?
Hello, are you there, sir?
ইয়েস স্যার।
So you don't have to report it, sir. You don't have to write it, sir.
ওনার্স ক্যাপিটাল বা রেন্ট এক্সপেন্স এগুলো লেখা লাগবে না, মানে ক্যাশ অ্যাকাউন্টের বিপরীতে যে অ্যাকাউন্টটা ছিল সেটা আর লেখার দরকার নেই।
আপনি যদি লিখতে চান তো লিখতে পারেন, অসুবিধা নেই।
স্যার আমার 9-10 তো এভাবে করে এসেছে, তাই স্যার এটা জিজ্ঞেস করলাম।
আপনি যদি লিখতে চান লিখতে পারেন, but it is not necessary because when you're reporting it in the ledger, it will automatically know. Okay, if you
ওকে
want.
স্যার।
Now, so what you see that your cash account is
Sir, আমার একটা কোশ্চেন ছিল।
জি বলেন, কি কোশ্চেন ছিল আপনার? শুনতে পাচ্ছেন আমাকে আপনারা?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now let's go for the transaction number 2. On the second transaction, where you see that we have credited the cash for $1,000. We have credited cash for the $1,000 for the September 2, the general journal information number 1, and we have credited cash for $1,000. So now you can see that after crediting the $1,000, our remaining balance is now $19,000. Is that clear, sir? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm talking about this one. This one. Okay. Now let's talk about the transaction that is occurred on September 3rd. You mentioned the date September 3rd. You also reported this information we collect from it from the General Journal 1. And we credited cash for $10,000 for which we purchased the equipment. The cash is credited for $10,000. Right in the credit column, we have reported the $10,000. Okay, so what you see, the out of $19,000, when you credited again $10,000, your remaining balance is 9,000.
9,000.
9,000. Okay, fine. So now that is completed for the transaction that is occurred in September 3rd. Now the September 4th, you have again credited cash for $1,200 for the purchasing of prepaid insurance. So you reported September 4, the reference is General Journal, and you credited $1,200. So out of $9,000, you have credited $1,200. The balance is $7,800. That is the remaining balance. So you see that in the balance column, you get the updated balance of the cash after each and every transaction. You get the updated balance of cash, okay, or updated balance of prepaid insurances, everything for each and every transaction. Now you see that transaction number 10 is not any information of transaction number 10 is not available, is not here, okay, for the cash, because there is no such increase and decrease of cash. You can see that advertising expense debit and accounts payable is credit. So there is no such increase and decrease of cash. That's why transaction number 10 is not related to reports in the cash account. Now the transaction number 20. In the transaction number 20, the General Journal 1, cash account is credited for $700 and cash account is credited for $700. Out of $7,800, we spent $7,700 and the report remaining balance is $7,100. Remaining balance is $7,100. Now on the September 30, we can see that our cash balance is increased by $6,200. $6,200 on September 30. General Journal 1, David column, $6,200. Okay, so as Debiting of cash tells us the increase of cash. That means, so with the $7,100, what do you have to do? We have to add the $6,200 and our remaining balance will increase from $7,100 to $13,300. Is that clear, sir? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Sir, I have a question.
জি বলেন।
So, is there any possibility that the total amount in the, at the very last of balance would be negative?
No.
Okay.
Okay. So that is the transferring the journal information from the general journal to the ledger for the separate account cash. Now, if you'd like to know about the transferring the information related with the prepaid insurance, so in the you can see that on the 4th September we purchased the prepaid insurance, and the prepaid insurance is debited for $102,000. So on the date column, you report the September 4, you mention it in the general journal 1, and the prepaid insurance is debited by $1,200. So you report it $1,200. As there is no other account related to the prepaid insurance, we can say our balance of the prepaid insurance is 1,200. The same thing we can do for the equipment as well. So in the you can see that equipment account, in the equipment account on the September 3rd, we purchased equipment by $25,000. $25,000 is equipment in the debit column, as there is no such other equipment increase and decrease. So our balance is $25,000. The same thing you can do for the rest of the account, and you can get the balance like this one. You understand, sir? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now let me tell you something about. Okay, let me tell you something. So, okay. So now let me tell you something. One more thing. Okay, like this one. Okay. Okay. So now we are going to know this $13,300. Is it a debit balance or is it a credit balance? We are going to learn it. Okay. A very simple rules to identify 13,300 is a debit balance or credit balance. It is very simple. Yes, it is a debit balance. How we know that? It is very simple. If it is an asset account, if it is an expense account, if it is drawing account, the balance should be debit. Okay, so that means the 13,300, it is a debit balance. Why? Because it is an asset. Cash is an asset. The prepaid insurance 1,200, it is a debit balance. Why? Because it is a prepaid insurance. 25,000, it is a debit balance. Why? Because it is an equipment. Notes payable, it is a liabilities. So for the $15,000, can we say it is a debit balance? No.
No.
No, sir.
For the liability, for the revenue, and for the owner's equity, we have to say it is a credit balance. For the notes payable, it is a liability, so it is a credit balance. Accounts payable, $200 is a liability, so it is a credit balance. Owner's capital, $20,000, it is a part of the owner's equity, so it is a credit balance. Owner's drawing, it should be debit balance. Service revenue, it is a part of this one, so it is a credit balance. Advertising expense, it is a debit balance, and rent expense, it is a debit balance. Is that clear, sir? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's make a color so that we can even make it easy to classify them. For example, green one is for the debit balance. Okay, green one is for the debit balance. Okay, green one is for the debit balance. Okay, and orange, it is, let's say the orange one is from the credit balance. Is it clear, sir? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So that is all about transferring the journal information to the general journal and determination of the debit balance and credit balance. Okay. So now the next thing, what you have to know, you have to tell me all the debit balance and summation of all the credit balance must be equal. Okay. So if they equal, it tells you the arithmetic accuracy of transferring all the journal information into the ledger. মানে জার্নাল ইনফরমেশন থেকে যে আপনি লেজারে অ্যাকাউন্টগুলো লেজারে ট্রান্সফার করলেন, এর মধ্যে ট্রান্সফারের ক্ষেত্রে আপনার কোনো অ্যারিথমেটিক ভুল হয়নি, ক্যালকুলেশন করে কোনো ভুল হয়নি। মানে জেনারেল জার্নাল থেকে যখন জেনারেল লেজারে আপনি ট্রান্সফার করলেন তখন আপনার কোনো অ্যারিথমেটিক ভুল হয়নি। সো এই যেই সামেশনটা আমরা ক্যালকুলেট করব, উইল ফার্স্ট মেক এ লিস্ট of all the account. We'll first make a list of all the account like this one. So how many accounts we have, sir? So we can see that we have
10 accounts.
10 account, right? So first the cash, you reported the cash. Then prepaid insurance, you report the prepaid insurance. Then equipment, you report the equipment. Okay. The notes payable, then you report the notes payable. Accounts payable, you reported accounts payable. Owner's capital, you reported capital. Drawings, you reported here. Service revenue, service revenue. Advertising expense, rent expense, and rent expense. Okay, so you report in the title column, right? That column. And what you have to do, you have to report their you have to report their corresponding, or you have to report their respective balance as well. So what you see that for the cash, your balance is $13,300, and we know this 13,300 is a debit balance. So what you have to do, we have to report this $13,300 in the debit column. Okay, let me help you to write this one. Let me help you to write this one. Okay, let me help you to write this one. So cash, is it a debit balance or credit balance, sir?
David balance.
David balance.
Right. As it is a debit balance, we have to report it in the debit column. So $13,300. Now, for the prepaid insurance, it is also the debit balance. So we have to report it in the debit column, $1,200. Equipment, $25,000. It is also a debit balance. So you have to write it in the debit column of the trial balance. Now the notes payable, $15,000. We know it is a credit balance. So we have to report it in the credit column of the trial balance, $15,000. The accounts payable, $200 is the credit balance. We have to write it, $200. Owner's capital, it is credit balance for $20,000. Owner's drawing, it is debit balance. So we have to write it in the debit column of $700. Service revenue is $6,200 credit column. Advertising expense, $200. Rent expense, $1,000. So what you have to do, sir? Now we have to add all the amount we report in the debit column and all the amount we report in the credit column, and both amount, the summation of all the item must be equal. Can you please check it, sir? Can you please tell me, is that the debit summation of the debit column and summation of the credit column is same or not?
So debit column is same.
Is that okay, sir?
Yes, sir, same.
Okay, so that is all about making the trial balance. Is that clear, sir? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
স্যার
জি বলুন।
স্যার প্রিপেড ইনকামটা ক্রেডিট হওয়ার কথা না?
It is not a prepaid income, it is prepaid insurance, sir.
Oh, sorry sir, I thought it is prepaid income. Sorry.
So it is prepaid insurance, it's not income. জি বলুন।
সার্ভিস রেভিনিউটা ইনকাম
সার্ভিস রেভিনিউটা
ক্রেডিট কেন সে এটা বুঝতেছি জানে নাকি স্যার না
ওকে, সো উনি জানতে চান সার্ভিস রেভিনিউটা ক্রেডিট কেন। সো we know that we have talked about the debit credit rules, right? Like this one. So liabilities, revenue, and owner's equity. So they all must be credit. That's why the service revenue credit. Okay. So do you have any do you have any question regarding the transferring journal information to the ledger, then ledger to the trial balance?
স্যার আমার একটি কোশ্চেন আছে।
জি বলুন।
স্যার ব্যাংক তো বেসিক্যালি ডেবিট ব্যালেন্সে যায়, হ্যাঁ, বাট আমরা লেজারের ক্ষেত্রে যখন আমরা হিসাবটা করবো তো অবশ্যই এটা ডেবিট ক্ষেত্রেই যাবে, বাট আমরা যদি ওভারড্র করি তখন সেটা কি হবে?
ব্যাংক ওভারড্রয়ের যেই অ্যাকাউন্টের নেচারটা, সেই নেচারটা একটু আমাকে বলেন তো, ব্যাংক ওভারড্রয়ের বিষয়টা কি, তারপর আমি বলতে পারবো। আদারওয়াইজ
ব্যাংক ওভারড্র বলতে মানে আমার যতটুকু কনসেপ্ট যে আমার একটি অ্যাকাউন্ট আছে ব্যাংকে, হ্যাঁ, তো সেখান থেকে তো আমি যখন আমি দরকার হবে বা যখন একটা ডেডলাইন থাকবে তখন তো আমি এটা থেকে আমি উইথড্র করতে পারবো, বাট যদি আমার ব্যালেন্সের তুলনায় যদি আমি অতিরিক্ত উইথড্র করি তখন তো সেটা লোন হিসেবে কাউন্ট হয়। সেক্ষেত্রে
হ্যাঁ, যদি সেটা লোন হিসেবে কাউন্ট হয় তাহলে ব্যাংক ওভারড্র এটা লাইবিলিটিস আপনার, এবং লাইবিলিটিস এর হিসাব অনুযায়ী সেটাকে আমরা ক্রেডিট কলামে লিখবো।
স্যার লেজারে কি করবো এটার?
হ্যাঁ, সেটা লেজারেই তো ক্রেডিট করব।
ওকে স্যার।
লাইক দ্য নোটস পেবল যেভাবে লিখেছেন, অ্যাকাউন্টস পেবল যেভাবে লিখেছেন, ঠিক তেমনি ব্যাংক ওভারড্র আপনার ক্রেডিট কলামে লিখবেন। ইজ এ সিম্পল লাইবিলিটি। অন্যান্য লাইবিলিটি যেভাবে আপনি রেকর্ড করেন, জার্নালে রেকর্ড করেন, ঠিক তেমনি রেকর্ড করতে হবে, বিকজ ব্যাংক ওভারড্রাফট ইট ইজ এ লাইবিলিটি, দ্যাটস ইট। বুঝতে পেরেছি স্যার আমরা? হ্যালো?
ইয়েস স্যার, নাও ইটস ক্লিয়ার।
ওকে স্যার, আর কোনো প্রশ্ন আছে আমাদের?
No,
স্যার
sir.
এই মানে স্লাইডটা থেকে একটা প্রশ্ন স্যার, যেটা একটু আগে দিয়েছিলেন, লাস্ট যেটা স্যার লাস্ট যেটা শো করা হলো সেখান থেকে, মানে এখন যেটা স্যার এখানে, মানে এই স্লাইডটা কিভাবে ডেবিট ক্রেডিট হয়েছে এটা একটু বুঝিয়ে দিলে ভালো হতো, মানে ফুল বিষয়টা কিভাবে হয়েছে সেটা।
কোনটা ডেবিট কোনটা ক্রেডিট আমি আবার একটু বলেন।
জি স্যার, মানে স্যার কোনটা, মানে এটা স্যার ফুলটা কিভাবে করা হয়েছে এটা বুঝাই দিলে ভালো হতো স্যার আরেকবার।
কোনটা মানে ট্রায়াল ব্যালেন্স নাকি জেনারেল
না
লেজার?
স্যার, জেনারেল জার্নাল।
জেনারেল জার্নাল কিভাবে ডেবিট হলো কিভাবে ক্রেডিট হলো সেটা আমাদের ওকে। Okay, very good. Now, can you see that, sir?
জি স্যার, দেখা যাচ্ছে।
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. First, what you have to do, we have to read the instruction first. Our instruction says the journal the September's transaction. These are all the September's transaction, and we have to journalize it. And what you have to do, and use J1 for the journal page number. That's why we reported in the J1 here. Okay, and these are the transaction. So at the first transaction, what you see, the Bob, the first transaction, the owner invested Mr. Bob invested $20,000 cash in the business. So we already know that in the transaction analysis classes, we already know for the transaction, two account is basically it is affected here. One is cash account and the second one is the capital account. Okay, capital account, right? So two account. Now the second question that you have to ask, that is it cash is increase or cash is decrease? So for the transaction, you know that your cash is basically increase and capital is actually also increase. Okay, so that is the second question you have to ask. The third question you have to ask about the application of the debit credit rules. So you all know that asset, expense, and the drawings. The increase of all the item should be reported in the debit side of the cash account, and the decrease should be reported in the credit side. Okay, and the liabilities, capital, and the revenue. So increase of the three items should be reported in the credit side, and the decrease of all these three items should be reported in the debit side. So what you see that the cash is an asset. Cash, it is an asset. So increase should be reported in the debits column. It should be reported in the debit. And then okay, and then capital. Okay, capital increase. So capital increase, it should be reported in the credit column, right? It should be reported in the credit column. So applying the debit credit rules, you can see that they have done it same here. They have first reported on the 1st September of 2001. They have reported cash in the debit column of the journal, $20,000, and the owner's capital, $20,000 credit. What is the amount? The amount is $20,000 and $20,000. And you also know that reference number of the cash, it is basically the identification number of the cash account and the identification number of the owner's capital account. So is that okay, sir, for the first transaction? শুনতে পাচ্ছি আমাকে স্যার আপনারা? So this is how we have to go for all the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 transactions, right? We have to go for all the 7 transactions. Okay, is that clear, sir? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
জি স্যার।
Now যিনি প্রশ্ন করেছেন উনি কি বুঝতে পেরেছেন কিনা? হ্যালো, আমি কি আপনাদের সাথে কানেক্টেড আছি না ডিসকানেক্ট হয়ে গেছি?
Yes, sir.
আচ্ছা, যিনি প্রশ্ন করেছেন উনি কি বুঝতে পেরেছেন কিভাবে আমাদের এটা ডেবিট ক্রেডিট অ্যাপ্লাই করে আমরা জার্নালটা রিপোর্ট করতে পারি? ওকে স্যার, আপনাদের যদি আর কোনো প্রশ্ন থাকে এই প্র্যাকটিস প্রবলেম নিয়ে ফ্রম জেনারেল জার্নাল টু দ্য জেনারেল লেজার দেন ট্রায়াল ব্যালেন্স, তাহলে স্যার আমাকে এখন জিজ্ঞেস করতে পারেন। Any questions, sir?
No,
Sir, I have a question.
Okay, so if not, then
Sir, I have a question.
জি বলেন।
স্যার, আমরা যদি কোনো কিছু ক্যাশে পারচেজ করি তাহলে সেটা ক্যাশেও যাবে আর সেটা তো এক্সপেন্সও হবে। স্যার এইটা একটু কনফিউজ।
আপনি ক্যাশে কি পারচেজ করতে চাচ্ছেন? এখানে কি পারচেজ করতে চাচ্ছেন বলুন।
যদি আমি কোনো সার্ভিস নিই ক্যাশে তাহলে সেটা এক্সপেন্স হবে, শুধু জাস্ট ক্যাশই ডিক্রিজ হবে?
আপনি যদি কোনো সার্ভিস পারচেজ করেন, নাকি সার্ভিস মানে আমাকে একটা এক্সাম্পল দিয়ে বুঝাই।
সার্ভিস পারচেজ করলাম ক্যাশে,
হ্যাঁ আপনি বলেন।
ইনক্রিজ হচ্ছে আর স্যার এক্সপেন্সও ইনক্রিজ হচ্ছে, এইটাই।
হ্যাঁ, আপনি কোন ধরনের সার্ভিস পারচেস করছেন? ধরে নিচ্ছেন আপনি ইন্স্যুরেন্স সার্ভিস যদি পারচেস করেন,
ওকে স্যার,
আপনি
সাপোজ ইন্স্যুরেন্স।
কত দিনের জন্য পারচেস করেছেন? এটা আরেকটা প্রশ্ন, উত্তর দিতে হবে।
স্যার 1 ইয়ার।
আচ্ছা, আমরা যদি ইন্স্যুরেন্সটা 1 ইয়ারের জন্য পারচেস করি, তাহলে আমরা ধরে নিচ্ছি এই ইন্স্যুরেন্স থেকে আমরা 12 মাসের বেনিফিট পাবো। যেহেতু এই ইন্স্যুরেন্স পলিসিটুকু আমাদের 12 মাসের বেনিফিট দিবে, এইটা সাথে সাথে আমরা এক্সপেন্স হিসেবে লিখতে পারবো না, এটাকে প্রথমে আমাদের অ্যাসেট হিসেবে রিপোর্ট করতে হবে। ঠিক আছে, ঠিক আছে।
তাহলে
আমরা
স্যার আমরা
12
কখন এক্সপেন্স হিসেবে আসলে আমরা রিপোর্ট করতে পারি, এটাই স্যার কনফিউজন।
আমরা
পারচেজ করলে কখন আমরা এক্সপেন্স হিসেবে রিপোর্ট করতে পারি, এই এক্সাম্পলটা মানে একটু বুঝতেছি না।
Okay, so let's say that is the pie chart of insurance. Okay, you purchase. Okay, so not the pie chart. Let's make a table. You purchase the insurance for the 12 months. 1, 2, 3, 4. January, February, March, April, May, June, March, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, and December. Okay, for the 12 months. So you purchase at the very beginning on that date. What is the purchase price? The purchase price is $12,000. Make it simple. Okay, $12,000. What is the date? Let's say the 1st January of 2021. Okay, so in the general journal, what you are going to report it in the general journal on the transaction date, we have to report 2021 1st January. Okay, 1st January. What do you have to report? You purchase it in cash, so you report it prepaid insurance debit for $12,000 and cash credit for $12,000 on that date, on the purchase of insurance date. Make sense? That is your general journal. Yes or no, sir? General journal 1.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now at the end of the 1st January, at the end of this one, okay, at the end of this one, that means you receive benefit from the company. আপনি ওদের কাছ থেকে ইন্স্যুরেন্স সার্ভিস পেয়ে ফেলছেন। কত মাসের জন্য? 1 মাসের জন্য সার্ভিস আপনি পেয়ে ফেলছেন। কত মাসের সার্ভিস বাকি থাকলো? 11 মাসের সার্ভিস। 11 মাসের সার্ভিস। এই জন্য what you have to do, you have to make a adjusting entries. You have to make a adjusting entries. That is called General Journal 2, which will be discussed in chapter number 3, যেটা আমরা আজকের ক্লাসে শুরু করব। So আমরা যেহেতু জানুয়ারি মাসের বেনিফিট we actually receive এই 12 প্রত্যেক মাসে আমরা কত ডলার করে বেনিফিট পাবো? লাইক $1,000 আমরা বেনিফিট পাবো, রাইট? সো যেহেতু আমরা 12 মাসের বেনিফিটের মধ্যে উই অ্যাকচুয়ালি কনজিউম দ্য বেনিফিট ফর দ্য মান্থ অফ জানুয়ারি। এখন প্রশ্ন হতে পারে, স্যার জানুয়ারি মাসের বেনিফিট আমরা কিভাবে পাইলাম? জানুয়ারি মাস কমপ্লিট হয়ে গিয়েছে, সময় শেষ হয়ে গিয়েছে, কোম্পানি আমাদের জানুয়ারি মাসের ইন্স্যুরেন্স সিকিউরিটি দিয়েছে, এই জন্য আমাদের বেনিফিটটা কনজাম্পশন হয়ে গেছে। ওকে, ওকে ফাইন। তাহলে এই প্রিপেড ইন্স্যুরেন্স যে $12,000 আমাদের ছিল অ্যাসেট হিসেবে, ওই অ্যাসেটের ভ্যালু কি এখন $12,000 আছে জানুয়ারি মাসের শেষে, না কমে গিয়েছে স্যার?
কমে গিয়েছে স্যার।
তাহলে ডেবিট ক্রেডিটের রুলস কি বলতেছে? ডেবিট ক্রেডিটের রুলস বলতেছে অ্যাসেট যদি কমে যায় এটা ক্রেডিট করতে হবে, রাইট? তাহলে আমরা ক্রেডিট করব প্রিপেড ইন্স্যুরেন্স ক্রেডিট করব। কত ডলার দিয়ে কমে যাচ্ছে স্যার? দ্য কনজামশন অফ দ্য বেনিফিট or consumption of service $1000। এখন প্রশ্ন হচ্ছে ডেবিট কি হবে? ঠিক আছে, ডেবিটটা হবে দা, আমরা একটা বিষয় একটু খেয়াল করে দেখি। There are the two types of expense. One is operating expense, and the second one is the consumption of asset. Consumption of asset is also expense. So prepaid insurance $12,000, how much we actually consume during the month of January? We actually consume for the 1 month. Okay, we actually consume benefit for the 1 month, and the value of our consumption is $1,000. So in that case, the consumption of asset is expense, and it is basically the increase of expense. So according to the debit credit rules, increase of expense should be reported in the debit side. So we have to report increase of expense, debit for $1,000. But instead of just simply writing the expense, we have to make it very specific. This expense is related for insurance. Insurance expense debit for $1,000 and prepaid insurance credit for $1,000. Is that clear? Or do you think it is okay, or you get little confused? Okay, so এই কারণেই আমাদের যখন প্রিপেড ইন্স্যুরেন্সটা কি হয়ে যাবে স্যার, প্রিপেড ইন্স্যুরেন্সটা যখন অ্যাসেট ছিল, কনজাম্পশনের পর প্রিপেড ইন্স্যুরেন্সটা এক্সপেন্স হয়ে যাবে। তাহলে আমরা এই অ্যাডজাস্টিং এন্ট্রিটা কখন দিব? At the end of the first month, that is 31st January of 2021. বুঝতে পেরেছি স্যার? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So now so do you have any other question? If you have any other question, we can discuss.
স্যার,
জি বলেন।
আমি স্যার ট্রায়াল ব্যালেন্স পর্যন্ত বুঝেছিলাম, এই লাস্টের এটা আমি কিছু বুঝি না।
এটা অসুবিধা নাই, প্রশ্ন করেছেন তো, সো এই জন্য প্রশ্নের উত্তরটা আমাকে দিতে হয়েছে। সো ওইটা আপনি এখন বুঝবেন, চ্যাপ্টার নাম্বার 3 যখন আমরা পড়বো এখন বুঝবেন আপনি। ওকে, so chapter number 3, adjusting the account. Okay, chapter number 3, adjusting the account. আমরা এখন চ্যাপ্টার নাম্বার 3 টা পড়বো। তো চ্যাপ্টার নাম্বার 3 তে যাওয়ার আগে আমি একটু চ্যাপ্টার নাম্বার 5 এ আসতে চাই। Chapter number 5, let me find the, okay, is it chapter number 5 or chapter number 4? Yes, it is chapter number 4, right? I think you can see that, sir.
Yes, sir.
From the chapter number 4, that is the page number, and what you will have the summary of the account cycle, right? So your accounting day start on the 1st January of 2021, and it will end like 31st December of 2021. So during this 12th month, you have to follow this procedure. First, analyze the transaction, then record the transaction into the journal, then post the general information to the ledger, then prepare the trial balance. So far we have completed the 4th step of the accounting cycle. Now chapter number 3 and chapter number 3, okay, that tell you the 3 more steps of the accounting cycle, which is 5 to 7. Okay, is that clear, sir? Yes or no, sir?
Yes, sir.
And in the chapter number 3, we'll be able to prepare the financial statement, which is income statement, owner security statement, and the balance sheet. Okay, so Now let's go back to the chapter number 3. In the chapter number 3, we will discuss step number 5 to step number 7. Chapter number 3. Okay. So I think we already discussed a separate some parts of chapter number 3 while we studied chapter number 1. Okay, that means in the revenue recognition principles, cost principles, right? We discussed that things. Now, chapter number 3 is all about the adjusting. It's all about the adjusting. Now, before dive into that, let me discuss the few basic words or component that we are going to use in that chapter and maybe in the preparation of the financial statement. Okay, first is the fiscal year and the calendar year. What is the fiscal year, sir? So both small and large companies prepare financial statement periodically in order to assess their financial condition and the result of operation. Accounting time periods are generally a month. আমরা যে periodically financial statement আমাদের condition আমরা assess করছি for a month, for a quarter or for a year. Monthly and quarterly time period are called the interim period. আমরা যদি 1 মাসের জন্য করি তাহলে সেটাকে বলা হচ্ছে interim period. আমরা যদি 3 মাসের জন্য করি এটাকে বলা হচ্ছে interim period. Okay. So let me tell you what is the quarter. Okay. Okay. 1, 2, 3. 3 and 4. So January, February, and March. It is the quarter number 1. April, May, June. It is the quarter number 2. July, August, September. It is the quarter number 3. October, November, December. It is the quarter number 4. That means in a particular year, how many quarters we have? You have 4 quarters and 12 months, right? So most large companies prepare both quarterly and annual financial statement. তাদেরকে first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, and fourth quarter জন্য financial statement তৈরি করতে হয়, and they have to also make financial statement at the end of the accounting period. Okay. An accounting time period that is 1 year in length is a fiscal year. A fiscal year usually begins with the first day of the month and ends 12 months later on the last day of the month. Okay. Fiscal year টা শুরু হতে পারে আমাদের মে মাসের 1 তারিখে যদি আমরা আমাদের রেকর্ডিং শুরু করি, মে মাসের 1 তারিখ থেকে শুরু করে এর 12 মাস পরে গিয়ে আমাদের এই ফিসকাল ইয়ারটা শেষ হবে। The many business use the calendar year. ক্যালেন্ডার ইয়ার মানে হচ্ছে জানুয়ারি 1 তারিখ থেকে শুরু করব এবং ডিসেম্বর 31 শেষ করব। Many business use the calendar year, that is the January 1 to December 31st as their accounting period. Some do not. অনেকে এটা মনে করে না। আপনি যদি বাংলাদেশের অনেক কোম্পানি দেখেন তাহলে দেখবেন তারা জুলাইয়ের 1 তারিখে তাদের অ্যাকাউন্টিং পিরিয়ডটা শুরু করে এবং জুনের 30-এ গিয়ে তারা শেষ করে। Okay. Companies whose fiscal year differ from the calendar year include Delta Airlines, ওদের জুন 30-তে হচ্ছে ওদের ফিসকাল ইয়ারটা শেষ হচ্ছে, the Walt Disney Company সেপ্টেম্বর 30-তে for example. এখানে কিছু এক্সাম্পলের কথা বলা আছে। So now I think you understand the one basic component of that fiscal and calendar year, that is we have to make this report for the 12 months. That is very simple. Now, the second important aspect or component of this chapter is accrual basis versus cash basis of accounting. It is very important, sir. Let's try to discuss few concepts of the accrual basis and cash basis. Okay. Try to understand. First, let's discuss the cash basis of accounting. Okay, cash basis of accounting. In the cash basis of accounting, under the cash basis of accounting, the company's record revenue. খুব ভালো করে খেয়াল করে, company record revenue when they receive cash. Cash basis of accounting কি বলতেছে? Cash basis of accounting বলতেছে, let's say we sell any product in the month of January, but we receive money in the month of February. Try to understand. We sell in the month of January, right? We sell in the month of January, but we receive money from the customer in the month of February. We receive money in the month of February. So according to the cash basis of accounting, we cannot record, we have to record the sales. Let's say that you sales $100. According to the cash basis of accounting, you have to record this $100 is the sales for the month of February, not in the month of January, at which the sales is actually occurred. Cash basis of accounting tells you what? It tells you when you receive cash, you have to record it as a revenue. Doesn't matter in which time period or in which year you performed or your sales or you provide service to your customer. হতে পারে এটা আগের বছর ডিসেম্বর মাসে আপনি সেলস করেছেন কিন্তু রিসিভ করেছেন ফেব্রুয়ারিতে, তাহলে রেকর্ড করতে হবে কখন? ফেব্রুয়ারিতেই আপনার রেভিনিউ হিসেবে রেকর্ড করতে পারেন। The record and expense when they pay out the cash. আপনি ধরে নিচ্ছেন জুলাই মাসের ইন্টারেস্ট আপনি লোন নিলে তো প্রত্যেক মাসেই আপনাকে কি করতে হচ্ছে? ইন্টারেস্ট পেমেন্ট করতে হচ্ছে। জুলাই মাসের জন্য
জুলাই মাসের পরে কি বললেন স্যার? কথা আটকে গেছে।
জুলাই মাসের ইন্টারেস্ট $100, অগস্ট মাসের ইন্টারেস্ট $100। ঠিক আছে, আমরা ব্যাংক থেকে লোন নিয়েছিলাম জুলাই মাসে, আমাকে একটা ইন্টারেস্টের কথা বাদ দেন। লেটস সে দ্য ইউটিলিটি বিল, ওকে, লেটস সে দ্য an expense for $100, এটা জুলাই মাসের এক্সপেন্স, কিন্তু আমরা পেমেন্ট করলাম ইন দ্য মান্থ অফ সেপ্টেম্বর। তাহলে আমরা ক্যাশ বেসিস অফ অ্যাকাউন্টিং এ কি বলবো? আমরা বলবো এই $100 ইজ এ এক্সপেন্স ফর দ্য মান্থ অফ সেপ্টেম্বর, not for the month of July in which it actually incur. Is that clear, sir? Yes or no? মানে যখন আমাদের ক্যাশ আসবে যেই মাসে, we have to report it, our sales earn. যখন আমরা ক্যাশ পেমেন্ট করে ফেলবো তখন আমাদের বলবো এক্সপেন্স incurred. Is that clear, sir?
Yes.
Yes.
Which is actually misleading, যেটা আসলে মিসলিডিং। কারণ আপনি যদি আপনার বিজনেসকে অ্যানালাইসিস করতে চান পারফেক্টলি, আপনাকে জানতে হবে হাউ মাচ মানি উই অ্যাকচুয়ালি earn in the month of July by selling our product in the month of July. So এই জন্য you have to go for the accrual basis of accounting, not for the cash basis of accounting. Now let's talk about what is accrual basis of accounting. Accrual basis of accounting does not tell you to consider
স্যার শোনা যাচ্ছে না।
জাস্ট নট টেল ইউ পরের থেকে শোনা যাচ্ছে।
So are you there, sir?
Yes, sir.
So we are here, sir, but we can't hear you properly.
Okay, so do you think I should continue today or we can close today's discussion? What do you think, sir?
Sir, your wish.
স্যার আমার একটা ক্লাস আছে স্যার পরে 3:10 থেকে।
Okay.
স্যার যেহেতু নতুন চ্যাপ্টার সেহেতু আমরা হয়তো কালকে থেকে শুরু করতে পারি।
Okay, so in that case, from our, so I think we have one more class on Saturday, I guess, right, sir?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So Saturday, right? So I think we will start from the accrual basis of accounting, okay, in our Saturday class. So now today let's record our class attendance, okay? So